Hello, this is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker, and this is Friday, September the 23rd, 2022. So I have the mask going on. If your area is more than 5% and you got to go out amongst people, especially inside, help prevent the spread of COVID-19 by putting it on. In this area, temperature is about 46 degrees going up to 70. The air quality is good. Sunrise this morning was at 7:32 a.m. Sunset 7:39 p.m. Thought those numbers might say something to you. Continue with Hispanic Heritage Month. On this day in 1947, Argentina granted women the right to vote under Eva Perón. You might be familiar with some of her story from Evita, which is a autobiographical film about her life. Evita, Eva Perón, women's right to vote in Argentina, September 23rd, 1947. Back to some of the things that are in the headlines. Russia and Ukraine. Russia is experiencing protests in the streets. I wasn't sure if it was 1,000 people that were protesting or whether they arrested 1,000 out of the people that were protesting, since they've announced this constricted call to war for those men of age. All the tickets out of the country sold out, and people are just not happy about it. Along with that, speaking about this being the voting year around the world, Russia is proposing some type of annexation vote for that part of Ukraine that is occupied by Russians or Russian forces, which would stand to reason that might be kind of a prejudice vote if the only people that's going to vote there are the Russians that's on their territory. So anyway, international organizations and those agencies that would be acknowledging these things are saying, no, we're not going for that one. And the other thing that I was going to add was that once the Ukrainian government under President Vladimir Zelensky realized that a lot of the war effort was going unfulfilled as far as results were concerned, cleaned out about 60 government officials that were supporting the Russian invasion of Ukraine, then blew those bridges that allowed the Russian forces to cross over into Ukraine. After that, there was a significant difference in the war results once they were supplied with more modern weapons, trained on how to use same, and begin the attack to reclaim those territories of Ukraine that were Russian occupied, to the point that they now have about 10 or 15% of that territory back, such as it is. Russia, on the other hand, after being stymied significantly by the international community in their attitude and invasion of Ukraine, has had everything that they had working for them stopped. In May, they defaulted on a loan that was due, and that was already after the 30-day grace period because banks have frozen their accounts. Businesses have stopped doing business there. Everything in the international community that's related to Russia's success has been withheld or withdrawn. So, although they're calling for 300,000 troops to go in a new effort on special military operations, it would be hard pressed by them to try to keep them supplied. So supply lines would be very thin, if at all, which is what's causing a big change in the Russian military's attitude not speaking of the atrocities that Russian forces have pushed on Ukraine and been acknowledged by international war crime committees. So there we have it. Speaking of what goes on and how Trump in American politics, I know we just keep popping this up, and at first I was like, well, I'm not even going to say his name, not even going to give him any airtime, but here we go again. Fossil fuel giant Koch Industries has poured over $1 million into backing directly and indirectly dozens of House and Senate candidates who voted against certifying Joe Biden's win on 6 January 2021. So it kind of leads back to things like Watergate and, how deep does this thing run, and, I'm constantly referencing Hollywood movies and stuff like that, because the average, everyday, law-abiding citizen concerned with his family, providing for them, putting a roof on their head, food in their stomachs, clothes on their back, it's not going to spend no time thinking about stuff like this. Just like you hear Trump's comment on the documents and their classifications. If you didn't catch it, he said, well, I can just say that they're declassified, or I could just think and they would be declassified, think they are, can't even say it, declassified. So now it's not so much a point of how much wrong can he do, but getting him to realize that he is not only doing it, but he's not getting away with it. Like the Mar-a-Lago property, valued realistically at $75 million, but he wants to put it on the market for $500 million. And then go against the zoning and planning by calling it residential and breaking it up into plots. So it's getting him to realize that, no, that's not what's going on. That's not what's going to be happening. And you are the one that keeps trying it. So him denying it and having people following behind him. So all this other stuff. So you got all this interwines of political intrigue running into the House and into the Senate, and people paying for same. So that's kind of like my take on that. It is Friday, about to go into the weekend, first weekend of fall, past the middle of September. So I'm gonna leave you with this one. You coffee lovers and you people that like hotels, rooms and things of that nature, here's a take on this. Outer space, particularly the International Space Station, is about to have a project put on them that involves a hotel for astronauts and Starbucks coffee. So why would this be of interest to anybody anyway, the way they just spend money? Number one, having liquids in space is a scientific problem that has intrigued a lot of people. Inquiring minds want to know. Can you pour coffee in space since there's no down, no up, no sideways? And how would you contain it, drink it, and the rest of that stuff? So Starbucks, somebody that knows them, has designed a coffee cup with a special angle that would allow the drinking of liquids in space. So the headline was Starbucks and Marriott combined to build a hotel for astronauts in space. So there you have it. So Starbucks, both these Marriott's and Starbucks are big. Marriott's credentials kind of roll down 2 or 3 paragraphs. Starbucks credentials kind of roll down 2 or 3 paragraphs. So this is the project. So we'll see how it goes. Coffee in space. Now it's just a question of adding sugar. Friday, September the 23rd, 2022. That's it. Hashtag